becoming a psychologist, especially a clinical psychologist, it's basically like getting into medicine. Hello and welcome back to this channel. So I'm Ruth and this is a very impromptu video. I've just been doing a lot of thinking, so I've just been preparing for an interview and I thought it would be really good just to have this discussion. I've been thinking for a while that basically becoming a psychologist, especially a clinical psychologist, is basically like if I was to describe it, it's basically like getting into medicine. And I just thought to myself, this year I've had quite a lot of interviews, which I'm grateful for. So this year I've had five, and tomorrow will be six interviews. And so far, the five I've had this year and the three I had last year, they were all unsuccessful. And it's kind of like you go through so many emotions like, wow, you just know this one job opportunity will just open so many doors. And it's for me, it's just thinking, wow, like this opportunity, this job can really open doors. And I've been really seeing the need to kind of broaden my horizons in the sense of like currently I'm still doing a master's. I haven't finished yet, but my master's was in research psychology, and I personally do have quite a passion for research as well. So my thoughts has been, to do something that would combine the both. So do research that would be a combination of mental health or just interests that I'm really passionate about. So I've been really thinking during this time of lockdown, quarantine, of what I really want to do. And I don't really feel like it's changed, but I think what's happened for me is the method of getting to that end destination has kind of broadened and opened up. So I'm continually still applying for like assistant psychology roles. But I think from last month, I started to apply for more research roles. And at the moment, I'm also looking for PhD programs. But the issue with like PhD programs is I have been looking, I've seen one I'm really interested in, but I don't really find a lot of topics that I'm really interested in. So I was thinking, depending how, this interview goes, or depending how things go in the next weeks, I'm going to start like emailing people and seeing if they have opportunities. But I kind of wanted to hold fire on that before so I can see where I am, see, how this job is. I did have an interview on the 10th. So today is, just looking at my calendar just to double check. So today is the 24th of August. And yeah, so tomorrow I have an interview. And this video will probably be uploaded after all the things because I'm just one of those people. I kind of like things to be in place before like kind of sharing it. But I just thought to share, just how I'm dealing with resilience. I mean how I'm dealing with rejection and all of that. So from this year, I feel like when I started to have the interviews, I had a lot of pressure on myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself. So I was thinking, wow, I really need this because, it's going to open this door, this door. So I think on my first interview was just like, wow, because I hadn't had an interview for an assistant psychology job for like a year before because I hadn't applied until like I think April this year again. So it was kind of like going back to like, wow, starting this interview process again, and everything's online now, so it's just a very different scenery. So my first one, I feel like it was okay, but I already knew from that interview that there was definitely work I could have done. So I think from that interview, I could have sold myself a bit more. So I was kind of expecting a rejection. So I personally think I overthought how good or bad it was. I think I overthought how bad it was. But when I got a call back, the lady said, it was a good interview, but something that I really should have stretched out was in terms of, I think, diversity and in terms of like, because I'm from an ethnic minority background, as you can see. So I should have used that as said it in a question, and also said how I've always had a passion for this in terms of, because I think that job was in forensic. But in that interview, I think I was quite put off because they were asking me if I could drive. And then they asked if I should continue the interview. So that one was okay. Then the second one and the third, I think they were very strong interviews. I got great feedback. And interestingly enough, I had an interview in that same location last year. So I felt more comfortable, and I felt even more comfortable as well when the man said he recognized me from last year. And that was a really strong interview. And those interviews, they didn't have any negative feedback. It was just a case of, they said they had stronger candidates. So that was interview number 2 and 3 this year. Interview number 4 was a really nice one as well. This one was in Birmingham. So I'm just kind of going all around the country with these interviews. And this one was a good interview. And I was actually shortlisted to be one of the candidates, but that one wasn't successful. And I think what let me down for that one was for the first 10 minutes, we had to do a presentation, but I kind of did it general in terms of mental health, but I should have linked it to the forensic. So you can kind of see I keep on getting this was my second forensic one. So I should have linked it back to forensic more instead of just talking generally about mental health. But they said it was a really strong interview, and I was actually shortlisted. So if someone didn't want the job, then I would have got the job. So it was kind of emotions of up and down, because it's just you feel you're getting positive feedback, and it's just there's nothing of yourself that, of course, there's always room for improvement. But if it was this was bad, let's work on this, I would feel wow, okay, let me work on it. But it kind of felt weird, getting feedback, because even last year I really got the same feedback of, there was just a stronger candidate, you did well, especially when they say, we were interested in you. It's all nice receiving the feedback. So I think from then I was just thinking, I just kind of felt not over it, but I kind of felt I wasn't putting enough I didn't put pressure on myself after that. So the next interview I had, which was 2 weeks ago, I honestly don't think that one was well. It was fine. I wasn't nervous or anything, but I could tell I wasn't selling myself well, because even the ladies were very helpful in that interview, prodding me in terms of more questions. But I think I was just in my own world. I think right now I'm just have a lot on my mind, and I didn't have really enough time to prepare for that one. So it's just been a thing of am I dealing with all this resilience. I think at first, after number 3 interview, third interview, I thought to myself, maybe I should take a break, but I really can't. For me, it's actually kind of impossible for me to take a break. I'm applying for less jobs, because I think before I was applying for something every day. I'm kind of now not really applying every day, but applying quite a number of times in the week. But now that might go down again, because I'm, finishing off a deso and organizing that. So for me, dealing with resilience has kind of been remembering my goals. So remembering, that I do want to become eventually a psychologist, a research psychologist, or just a clinical psychologist, and just reminding myself of all these things, and reminding myself that it's quite normal, it's even a privilege to get an interview. That's what I kept on trying to remind myself, and also taking a lot of time, because I'm a believer, spending time in prayer, spending time outdoors in nature, spending time just remembering my goals. And what also is really helping me at this moment is branching out, but remembering that there's not just one way. It's not just saying, oh, if you get an assistant psychology job, this is the only way for you to actually go ahead. So I'm now broadening my horizons. I'm thinking of, right now, my master's is based on research. So let me try and get research roles. Let me try and get in contact with people who might have the same interest in me in terms of research, or if I see a PhD, I'm probably applying. So right now it's a very busy season in my life, in the sense of looking for jobs. Like, even recently my friend sent me a role as a clinical associate psychologist. So there were two areas that this role was, and so hopefully, I might give you an update of how that interview went. So I got an interview for one of those locations tomorrow, and I'm hoping it's okay, because funny enough, that even though we're in COVID, they still wanted face to face. But then I Googled and saw how far it was. Like from here, for me to get there to there would cost me £300, and it takes 15 hours. So I said, it's kind of not possible with the situation I'm in to kind of make that journey and stuff. So I didn't say that, but I just generally asked if I could have a video interview. So hopefully that all goes well. So it's a video interview. But yes, I don't even know if this video is making sense, but I just thought to say, even though psychology is like getting into medicine, it's a tough course. It's not to say that you don't have all the characteristics, you don't have the things. It's just to say, that in the certain timing it will happen. It may be like, what I'm thinking now, I'm considering doing things outside the box, not only looking for assistant psychology roles, but research roles. Look at what your strengths are, because for me right now, doing this master's in psychological research methods, that could be a geteway for me to eventually become a psychologist. It might not be the standard way of, being an assistant psychologist and then getting that experience, then becoming a psychologist. But the role of a clinical associate psychologist, I would really recommend just keeping your eye on it, because that role is like a bridge between a psychologist and also an assistant psychologist. And with that, you actually get to study a master's again. So you'll do a master's in, depending what university is, in clinical associate or clinical something in regards to psychology. It's funny because I've been reading it all for preparation, but I haven't. It's just slipped my mind. But yeah, I just want to encourage someone to just keep going. It is quite stressful, I'm not going to lie. Um, just this journey to psychology, the resilience needed is literally wow. Like, but just take each day as it comes, and just remember as well. Like for me, also surrounding yourself with positive things. Like, I have been off social media since December, but I might join back. But there's some groups that I probably won't be joining, because I felt some people, they have very unrealistic things and on there, and it makes you feel like, wow, is this possible? Like, for me, yeah, sorry, that cut off. So for me, I'm just a person, I don't like any negativeness or negative energy or all of that. So just be careful of who you surround yourself with, and also if it's possible to have a support network, where it be seeking out to find a supervisor, and that is something I've been grateful to have. And I thought there was a bee coming in. That's something I've been grateful to have, or just find people in your field on the same journey, just to encourage other people. So I think my memory was going back. So yeah, so I can't remember what I was saying, because I just had to delete a ton of things just to do this. But yeah, just stay encouraged, and just remember as well to surround yourself with positive things. There are some groups out there that can just make it feel more anxious in terms of pursuing a career in psychology. But also, wherever you are, whatever stage you are, whatever role you are, that you're kind of building your experience to become a psychologist, just enjoy it while you have it. It's every path or every job or whatever, every experience that we go through is going to help us, and it's also going to be part of our journey. So don't be thinking, oh, yes, I don't have this assistant psychology role, and I can't really do anything. But use whatever you have, whether it be a support worker role, whether you're studying, try to get the best of whatever field or whatever career, whatever job you're in, to help you. And sometimes it might even mean, leaving psychology for a bit and coming back, but always remembering that this is your end time goal. So I just want to say these things, and yeah, it's just interesting. So also let me know your thoughts, your comments. It would be nice to expand in terms of psychology being like a medicine course. And it's just wow, I just see how when I get there, it's there's gonna be like wow, I'm gonna look back and say wow, I can't believe, so many rejections, but it's kind of like you're still rising above it, continually picking yourself up and going. It's challenging, not gonna lie and say it's a walk in the park, being receiving a rejection and then trying again and again and again. But I just honestly believe, there's a verse that basically says that all things work together for good for them that are called according to his purpose. So, yeah, so that is it. Hope you have a lovely day, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with people who you know who are also on this journey to becoming a psychologist. So, see you later. Bye.